Okay, you guys, let's do this. It's going to be so professional. Like, so professional. Here we go. Welcome to the Live Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele VanDusen and June Colson, a couple of clean comedians who support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. I hope you're ready. Get set. Let's go. Since podcasts have a catchy tune, we wrote this song for Michele and June. Clean comedians are best friends too. Oh, it's so good. And you never know what they'll say or do. Here we go, sing with me on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. We'll have a ball, with June, who's really tall. They have fun, interviewing comedians on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. Now it's time to start Live Support.
The Live Support Podcast is brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network.
Wow, give yourself a round of applause. Woo! That was magic. Welcome to the multi-award-winning Laugh Support Podcast. I'm your host, June Bug Colson, here with Michele with 1L, Trisha's sister, Rhonda Colson, Corey's friend. Do not call me Shelly, Michele VanDusen.
Hey,
Michele VanDusen, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing? I'm good. I'm excited that we finally get to chat because it's been a couple weeks that some life things have happened and comedy stuff has happened and I haven't seen you. So
we got to catch up.
Yeah. Catch up. All right, and go.
Okay, fun. I just stopped by the bank and did a change of address for my new location and talked to the girl that loves my dad so much. She asked how he was doing. And I had to tell her he tried to do a pedicure with a Dremel tool. So.
Wait, was he trying to work on your feet?
No.
Okay. All right.
I would not let that man close to me with a power tool. No. I ended up last week with him at the doctor and at the hospital having ultrasounds on his legs because they feared he had a blood clot. And then we just did a little investigating and discovered that he had tried to cut his toenail with a Dremel tool and it actually caused an infection. And now his whole leg is swollen up. And it would be really funny if it wasn't so dangerous. But, this is also a man who that same week tried to light his Marlboro with a blowtorch and caught his mustache on fire. He had a little pencil thin mustache. And I was like, is this a look? Is this fashion? What are we doing, hot dog? And he's like, nah, I caught my face on fire. I do a bit about him catching his face on fire, lighting fireworks. Yeah. But it's been a long time since he lit himself on fire. So yeah.
How many people just like, oh, I can't find my lighter, but I've got this blowtorch.
Yeah. It's a little mini, like I want to say butane. I don't know. I don't know. So I've been at the doctor's. I go back with him tomorrow. Hopefully we're on the mend. He's supposed to be sitting with his foot up and I go by to give him his medicine and he was just walking barefoot across gravel. So, he just does his own thing. He 100% does his own thing. So
and that's why we love him.
He's not the only person who's been dealing with a little bit of issue. Now you had some or have some, I'm not sure. You'll have to update us. Shoulder, arm.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Was there woodworking tools involved in that? Like, how did you end up disappearing for 2 weeks?
No woodworking tools involved with me in injuring, straining, just pulling. I pulled a muscle, strained a muscle, whatever. We're going to put it there. I was moving my Lego boxes. Now, Lego box on its own, not heavy, but when you have a box of the boxes, because I was, I was trying to swap out from like winter Legos to spring Legos. I don't know. If
as we all do. Everyone is. I don't know anybody who's not busy switching out their summer Legos from their winter Legos.
See, this is like lovely little spring Lego, right?
That is adorable. Okay, so what Michele showed us, if you're listening
Oh,
to the podcast, it's like a little water pitcher with flowers coming out of it, and what is that? A toucan, a peacock? What is that?
it's a cockatiel.
Oh, that was my third guess. I just didn't
Yeah,
get
it's
there
a
yet.
bird. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, so I have a collection of Legos, right? And so I was moving the boxes, but it was in a position where I had to like reach and twist my arm to kind of pull it. And so doing that, it, like, that was, I have muscles. I'm using them. Ow, kind of a thing. And then like the next 3 days after that, I watched my granddaughter. And so I had the grandbaby over. And so because of that, a lot of lifting and setting down and don't get into that, like those kind of things. I over stressed my arm so much where then it became immobile. And how then those things happen, and then the all the things go on in your head and the fear kicks in, because I had surgery one time, years ago on my left shoulder when I tore my bicep and ripped the deltoid and stuff. It was like, yeah, so much fun. And so that's kind of how this was feeling. And I was like, oh man, so I started right away doing all the things that I knew to do, with the packs and how resting it, and then the certain stretches and things like that. And so it was very painful and very, it took over a week. It took over a week for sure. But this past weekend, I was doing a church service, and God is so good. I mean, look at this. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Anyway, I can, lift my arms. And I still have a little bit more to go on getting the full range back, but it's so much better. Like I couldn't wash my hair. Okay. Like I took a shower. I'm like, oh, this will be good. I can wash my head, with one hand, soaped up. And then I thought, wait, that only took care of half my body. That's not good. So it was, when you have to have help doing normal everyday things, it's, now I don't recommend this, medically, I don't recommend this to anybody. Go ahead and get to the doctor, get your x-rays, do what you need to do. But for me personally, I knew right away I had to rest. I had to, and sitting still and not doing anything except icing or using heat or those things, really made me sit and just, because sometimes you just keep going and going and going. You don't pause. And so I needed to pause. And so it was nice to have that physical and emotional breakdown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I don't pause, because if I have long enough to think, it doesn't go well for me. Speaking of pause, Reggie. I don't know what he's sparking at. Probably there's so many random birds outside the back door. And also my son is back in the woods back there turkey hunting right now. So I'm sure he can see that. Say hi, Michele. Reg.
Hey, Reg. Hello,
so,
listeners.
So I'm glad that you did get some rest. I'm glad that you are on the mend. I had frozen shoulder like several years ago. And if you have ever had that, dude, it's probably, I mean, it's so painful. It literally feels like every move you make, like in a certain direction, like it's tearing. It's not even like an ouch pain. It is a tear, and then it lingers for like 10 seconds. So it's like tear, and then 1, 2, 3, but like you can't breathe for like 10 seconds. It's awful. So I'm glad you're better. Are you going to end your professional weightlifting career now that you've tore the bicep, had the surgery, rehabbed, went into professional Lego lifting? Are we going to put that behind us, or are you still like, are you pushing for the Summer Olympics? Like, are you training for that? What are we doing, Michele?
No, the Legos will still be happening. The Legos will be still happening, for sure. Won't be lifting as many bricks at a time. For we'll cut back on some of the bricks. When I was in college, I did do weightlifting, and but that was it. That didn't last long. That was a short time also.
It's a good class. My niece Charlotte and my sister-in-law Stacy and I, we were talking the other day about how that's not a common conversation. Like women, especially in social media and things like that, it's about, it's exercising and jazzercise and treadmills and walking and, whatever. And like weightlifting really is important for your physical health. And not that this is a, physical health podcast, but it is important. And I definitely encourage, people to look into that. Being flexible and having muscle tone is helpful. I don't have that. I literally was doing squats in the garden for like 12 hours for 2 days, and I still can't straighten my right leg. So we've got it. Summertime it's a lot. But okay, so back to the Legos. What I love, we're going to bring Legos into comedy. What I love is that when I first started doing comedy, people are like, what do you write about? What do you talk about? Right? Where do I start? And a lot of really good comedy writers will tell you to start with what you know, start with your life, start with your experiences. And that's a good jumping off point, which is like, I'm like, my life is dealing with my daddy hot dog and my mama Mo. And like, when I began, it was, and they were like, who, what? Write about that. Right. I love that this weekend you were working on a talk for the church that you went to. For our listeners who may or may not know, many of us, and especially a lot of people guest on our show, we do comedy, but we also speak or do keynote speaking and things like that. So this weekend, Michele, you were working on a talk and did a talk that you actually incorporated the Legos that you use as an illustration as a part of your talk. Is that correct?
I did. I didn't use it as like I want to go more in depth. Like I think I just kind of hit the highlights on this one because it was really this weekend. I leaned more into talking about my son, the prodigal son story kind of a thing. I went that way. But this was because it was called Blooming with Jesus. And so this happens to be a flower Lego that I'm holding, a little rose bloom. And so I had some Legos up there. And I also had some Duplos, which is the Legos for younger children. So like my grandbaby's age.
Yeah.
And so I had a Duplo flower. And I just hit on the whole concept that, the flower didn't just happen. This design didn't just happen. You had to have a master builder design it, and then you have to follow the instructions. And I think the next time that I'm going to spend like a little more time with the Legos and stuff, I think I'll go ahead and just take the set that I have, whatever I'm holding, and just drop it and let it crash everywhere. Because at that point, what do you do when your life is shattered? What do you do when the pieces have fallen? You have to, try to find as many as you can, and you have to go back to the master builder's instructions and rebuild that way. And so like that's the kind of, and I think it would just be a very I think it'd be kind of a pretty powerful kind of illustration if you see, here you look so pretty, then bam. Because I mean that's what life does. It'll just come up and just smack you from behind and you're like, what just happened? And
is that what smacked me from behind? I thought it was Jason. So
that was
life.
TMI. So this is the Last Support podcast, and you're now listening to NPR with June Book. No. Do you remember Saturday Night Live? That's some of those NPR skits that they do. Very funny. Very racy, but very funny.
I actually had a neighbor who he was the voice of an NPR program. Yeah. And his name was Lee, and he was the sweetest person ever. It was an elderly gentleman, and he announced all of the classical music. So it was his voice that was like, welcome to the classical hour. But he really spoke that way, like when he talked to you. So like, but if he came over to borrow a cup of sugar, it was just so relaxing to hear him talk. If he was like, hello, it's me, Lee. How are you today? Oh, it's just be like trying to hold my eyes open. Like it's very therapeutic. His voice is very therapeutic. No, I love it. Like you took the Lego, something that you're passionate about in your life, something that you know really well, and you are able to go, oh, how would this apply? And even for people who may not, build with Legos and things like that. It's everyone knows what Legos are, what the purpose of them are, and I love that you took that and incorporated it. So tell us about where you went and what was the weather like? How was your travel? Who was your chauffeur that got you there? And how did your hair get so awesome?
Oh, so this was really, really crazy because I couldn't use my arm.
Mhm.
This is part of my emotional breakdown. I was sitting on the couch and I was like, because the night before I had my husband had to braid my hair on both sides, so I could sleep. So, if you have a ponytail, then that hits the back of your head. But if you have the braids on the side, you can sleep and not worry about, how messy your hair will get. So I was sitting on the couch, pack on the arm, and I'm just sitting there. I'm thinking, I got this thing this weekend. I'm going to have my husband is going to drive me. I mean, I could drive with one arm, but if it was crazy or like, you can't, it's not a good thing to do with one arm. It's just, anyway. Um, and I was like, I won't even get to do my hair. I was just upset. Like, I'm not going to get my hair done. I can't even comb my hair. Anyway, so my friend from Kansas came into town and she texted me like, I don't know, 20 minutes after I was just all fussing about how I can't get my hair done. And she's like, hey, I'm in town. You want to, can we visit? And I'm like, oh, yes, can we visit on Saturday? Can you do my hair? She's like, absolutely. I'm like, yay. So she came into town. My husband drove me. It rained the whole trip there. It was like we were either just in the middle of, like in the midst of the rain front that was moving through,
Yeah.
or we were just behind, whatever. We were just in the middle of rain the whole time.
You were
And I thought,
traveling at the speed of rain. Like,
yes,
I think we've all been in that situation before.
we were just drip driving along. And so it was really, I'm really thankful that Ross did the driving. And plus, in my car, not all the door handles work. So, and
As long as you got one.
as long as you have one, that's good. So, um, so he would drive me, and then, wherever we stopped, he had to get out and come around and open the door for me because the inside door handle doesn't work in my car. So it was a double blessing. It was like, well, I can't use my arm and I can't open the door no matter what. So I was trapped in my car. So he looked like he was a perfect gentleman all weekend. It's the car. The car made him amazing. He's already amazing. So he drove me, and we did the event that evening. It went really, really well. And I just want to show you this amazing mug that Martha Bug gave me, Blooming with Jesus. Can you see that?
That's so
And
pretty.
it's actually,
Yes.
it's on both sides, but it's harder to see the yellow side. But
Right.
this is my new favorite thing because you know how much I love mugs. And she
But
said,
not
okay,
cups, not, or tumblers, drink tumblers like what I have that you said that you didn't want. Um,
it's right here behind me.
it's
Oh,
because
I guess I
I
should.
left it in your car. I made you keep it when we were in Texas. Don't pretend like you wanted my cup, but that's okay.
Hey,
So what Michele showed us was a
I bought
cup, a mug that had just
a mug.
multicolors. It was very pretty. Has flowers, says blooming with
Yeah,
Jesus on it. So that's
all the
cool.
flowers. And
We love the
and I,
gifts when we perform somewhere or talk somewhere and they
yes.
get little gifts. I have a lot of things and I mean, I keep them. They're reminders of, different places I've traveled and the people that we've got to meet. So,
Yes. I
and this
loved it. I
was
loved it
not
so
your
much.
first time, right? With these folks, you have been
This
there
is
before?
Yes, this was my second time coming back. The first time I was there about a year ago with Rhonda Corey and
Mm.
I think it was Joy Aiello, and it was at Carterville First Baptist Church in Carterville, Missouri, and that was with the Funny Together tour.
Yeah.
So it was Rhonda's, show. Anyway, so this was the second time being there, and the woman that was running it is Cheryl Webb. She does an amazing job putting on a women's conference. She had the teenagers they're part of the Jesus dance team, so they did some dancing with worship music kind of a thing. An incredible worship leader, Sarah. Well, I don't know her last name. It was on the flyer. Sarah. She was so
Some
good.
people might not want their last name on a
Yeah,
podcast, so
yeah,
that's okay.
exactly.
Sarah was great.
It's
We
true.
love
It's
her.
true. It
Oh,
was
Sarah.
Sarah. Sarah was fabulous, and she ended up getting like a tickle, like in her throat, kind of thing. Like started to cough a little,
Yeah.
and I packed my pockets full of cough drops and all those kind of things. So I'm like, oh, here you go. So it was just nice to be able to share my cough drops. That was a Ricola, Ricola. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. Those are so good.
Ricola.
Ricola. Yeah.
Yes.
Ricola. No, I don't know how. Point is, they're not a sponsor, but I love their product. Okay.
Yes.
It is so good.
I like the honey
Anyway.
cough drops. Yes. Keep going.
Oh, you got the honey ones?
Yes, I do like the honey.
Oh,
They have
I don't.
caramel now too in Ricola.
Oh, I can't do.
Yeah,
No, really?
they have a caramel one.
I'm OG, the original flavor, the original.
Mm.
Boom, done.
I got on Easter Sunday, I ended up with a tickle in my throat because we showed up late to church, and we for 5 weeks in a row, we made it to church on time until Easter Sunday.
Oh no.
But we were the house that was having the food after church. So we're trying to get everything done. So
Yep.
when we got back home, we were ready to go. And so when we got there, the church was packed and the only seats left in a Baptist church, front row. So we went to the front row. Yes. And we stood on the front row. I felt very non-Baptist. And when the music would play and the words were on the screen, we were close enough that I had to look up. And when I would look up, it would make me cough. I couldn't look up at the words and sing at the same time. So I had to choose because I don't always know all the words to the songs. And even if they are on the screen, sometimes I just sing my own, So yeah, that's tough when you get a tickle in your throat at church.
Yeah, it's those are the rough times when, especially if you're like in the middle of a row and then you got to get up and no, thank you.
Post-COVID, everyone looks at you like you just pulled out a stick of dynamite. It's like, it's just stop. Live and let live.
Yeah.
Come on. Okay, so this was you've been to the event before.
Yes.
They were amazing. There was a dance team. There was a great worship leader.
Mm-hmm. There was on one section, there was a group that I recognized from last year. They were visitors to the church, and I spoke with the lady afterwards, and she came up, and I said, I recognize you. She was like, I was here last year. I just buried my friend. I really appreciate whatever you said. What you said, not whatever. And I brought her 2 daughters with me this time. They brought me. So it was her friend is the one that brought them last time. And then, so that was kind of neat. And then there was a group on the front row. I say front row. It was actually the second row, but no one was in the front row. So it's the front row.
Yeah.
Just by default. That was a group of visitors that came. And then everyone else I saw before, and I recognized their faces because it's a small country church. Well, I'm going to say country church. I don't know. I mean, it feels country. And it was like, everybody was family, it was like, okay, well, that's my kid. Well, then that's that, and that, and that's my granddaughter. And it was just so many. And I'm like, I'm lost. Who's who now? And so the fact that I remember 2 names, I'm doing good. 3 names or 2.5. So thank you, Martha. But yeah, it was so good. And God was there, and it was enough of laughter, enough ministry. It was just a good combination.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've already been invited back. So sweet. I will do that again, and that'll be fun. So anyway, but on the way home, I bombarded my husband with jokes because I was looking through my notebook. I'm like, oh, I didn't even do these jokes, So I did a bunch of dad joke kind of things on the way home. Filmed him. I don't know if you watch any of my my Hey Dad jokes.
I saw your Hey Dad jokes, and I feel like I've seen one that you posted with Ross, your husband. Yes.
So far, I posted 2. So far, there's two. Yeah. Yeah. So the hey dad jokes happened because a couple weeks ago, the week before I injured myself, I was up in Chicago with my dad, for the weekend, hanging out with him and spending time and stuff. And so we did hey dad jokes the whole time. And I haven't posted
That's so
yet.
cute that you said we. I don't think he was a willing participant. He was just trying to put together a puzzle, and he can't move really fast anymore, Michele. So, sure, we did some dad jokes.
Well, no, actually we did, because I haven't posted it yet, because then he ends up doing some jokes. Now there was some jokes I was like, nope, and I had to just turn off the camera. I'm like, Dad, I can't post that. I can't. He's like, I know, but that one makes me laugh. I'm like, I know it does. So there's some of those that I have that no one will ever see. But when I post his, I mean, it's cute. It's cute, especially when he'll like read a joke, and then he'll just stare at it, and he'll just look at me, and he'll just stare at it again. I'm like, well, Dad, do you know what that one means? He's like, no. And then I'll tell him. He's like, ugh, that's dumb.
We're looking forward to seeing that. So where can people watch your hey dad, and where can people watch you harass your elderly father and your sweet husband? So MicheleVanDusen.org, Facebook and Instagram, and YouTube is Michele's Comedy. So you can check out her funny jokes with her or her jokes. I don't know.
Jokes.
You've got, it's funny though. It is like there's one of it's like close to 30,000 views, and where it's your brother's in it. So your brother makes a cameo. So that's super cool. Well, speaking of a variety of stuff, coming up, since this is gonna come out this Thursday. What is the date today? 28th. So what's Thursday? The 30th? Anyway, April 30th, I think.
May 1st.
May 1st. That's what I said. Absolutely. My name is in the calendar and I can't keep up with dates. What does that mean? June. Come on, June. Okay. So it is June that's coming up. June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So let's talk about that. So in McDonough, Georgia, which a lot of the people, our friends that are from McDonough, they just say Atlanta. They're from Atlanta. So it's Atlanta, suburb of Atlanta, McDonough, Georgia. June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, there is a comedy conference. It's a Christian comedy conference. It's called Uncompromised. So there are two groups that have been around for probably 20 years plus, each individually. One started a few years after the other one in different parts of the country, and have been kind of doing their thing for all these years. And they've had conferences every year. Some people like myself, I go to both of them. I started going to the CCA, the Christian Comedy Association, to their conferences in 2017, which is where I met Michele. Then in 2019, I found out about the LOL GCA, which is the Living on Laughter Gospel Comedy Association. And they have a conference, and it's generally in the first 2 years I went, it was in Triangle, Virginia. Then it was closer to Virginia Beach. I think they've been in a few other locations as well. CCA has traveled around for years, but what's cool is this year, for the first time, both of those organizations are coming together to have a comedy conference. I kind of think of it as like almost like gospel music and Christian contemporary. Like it's the same craft, where they're doing music, but just in a different style. And so the LOL and the CCA, for the most part, it's a little bit different style in the craft, but the same craft, the same goal to bring laughter, to bring light to people. And so this year, for the first time, they're getting together for a conference called Uncompromised. And so if you are interested in it, I love that Minister Valina, she had said, if you're interested in comedy, if you are a comedian, if you're a booker, a promoter, this is a place that you can really connect with people that are doing clean Christian comedy. There will be there's going to be a keynote speaker, TC Stallings. He's been on our podcast before. TC is an actor. He's been in The Forge, War Room,
Vindication.
Vindication. Is it Courageous? Yes, fire or Courageous. I wanted to say Fireproof because hot dog always makes me think about fire. Courageous. He's just been in a lot of really great films, secular films, Christian films. Yeah. And he really is somebody who's lived his life uncompromised and really just strong in his faith. So he's going to come and talk. There are tons of speakers from both the Gospel Comedy Association, the Christian Comedy Association. There's going to be a dinner. There's going to be a show. A little bit of everything, but I really want to encourage people, if you're interested in doing clean Christian comedy, these are your people. This is where you want to be. I have, like I said, I've been to both. I've been embraced at both conferences. I have found lifelong friendships. Truly, some of the best friends I have on the planet are a product of me going to these conferences and making connections with people. So, so if you're interested in going, you can go to ChristianComedyAssociation.org. That's .org, ChristianComedyAssociation.org. Michelle's scrolling it across the bottom of the screen as well. Or to LOLGCA.com. On both of those, there's a page where you can just click to register. It takes you to the same page. It's the same conference, but it's two separate organizations. So they're, advertising it and putting it on both of their websites. I'm super excited about it. What about you, Michele?
Well, because I knew we were going to talk about it for a second, I went ahead and wore one of the shirts from years ago, the Fervent and Funny one. So I wore a shirt. So I'm looking for, and that's fun. So I do have a question. Are we getting t-shirts again this year?
That's it. I thought about that last night. That's one question I haven't asked, because generally in the past, that's something that has been on my plate to handle. But because the two groups combined together, then it's not, all the people who've had to plan and work and do all the stuff in years past for their group or for, or for the LOL or for the CCA, they've been able to combine, which means that's just less on each person's plate. And so that's something I haven't had to do this year. So I don't know. It's a good question. I was thinking, what if they're doing t-shirts? And that's been, something for me as well, is that for the last 4 years, I've been at every single meeting, unless something crazy happened, for the planning for the CCA events. And this year, my life has been pretty hectic. Between hot dog, last episode we talked about, I ended up in the hospital. I've just had and I've moved this year, and life has just been pretty crazy. So I'm excited about just going and having fewer responsibilities and just getting to be there and be a part of something that's just unique. This combination year, both organizations are still, this isn't like a permanent thing where they're coming together and that's it. It's a new thing. It's not. It's just a collaboration between two groups that want to get together and have one event together this year. They'll still remain and have their own separate things in the future. But this year, it's just something special and unique. We'll see what happens, So again, if you are already a comedian, this is a great place to be. I'm not sure how much it is, because I registered last. It's $150 now. So so it's $150, which, I mean, you get dinner one night, you get lunch another day,
and you get fellowship, you get teaching, you get lifelong friends, you get all the things that need to happen. Now, it's definitely not a place for you to show up and be like, here's my card, here's my card, here's my card, look at me, look at me, look. It's not that kind of a thing at all. This is typically you've been out on the road or you've been working, and it's an opportunity for you to come to like-minded people, comedians that love God, come together, and that you get your spirit fed, you get your mind fed, you get your friendship. Like, it's all the things in one. It's not heavy on promotion, it's not heavy on sales, it's not heavy on, like, it's not heavy on religion. Like, it's just a combination of all of it. So come with an open heart, come with an open mind, and open arms, right? Because you're gonna, and bring yourself a good notebook and a pen that isn't going to run out of ink, because you're going to take a lot of notes, and you will end up, because you will be meeting people, you will be making connections, but it'll come naturally. It's not going to be, there's nothing forced. You don't have to force anything. How, you have to do on some like business things. This is not that. This is more like a retreat, but yeah, I don't know. It's the Roxanne David. She's fantastic. I love her so much. I can't wait. I'm super excited. This is gonna be great. It's gonna be such a great thing. And on the websites, it also has the like hotel information.
Right.
If you want it, because they've kind of reserved in their name like a block of rooms, kind of a thing. So once those are gone, but there's other hotels in the area, and they're all about less than 15 minutes away from where it's being held. So
closest airport will be the Atlanta airport if somebody was flying in. And it is one of those things where you just get to meet and you get to connect with people. I was really struck because when I went to the CCA for the first time, I had never been on stage before. I had like 2 jokes written down in a notebook, and this was just a calling that God had placed in my life. And I thought, these people are going to think I'm crazy. I'd just show up, because people were like, well, how long have you been doing comedy? And I'm like, oh, so I got on I-65 to this church about an hour and a half. That's how long I've been doing it. Like, I'm not, and I went going, I'm not a comedian, but it's what God called me to do, And so that was the place that I met people doing what God had called me to do. I didn't have to, no one forces you to get up and do jokes or do anything. You're just there, you're meeting, you're learning, and you're growing. And what I discovered too, that really struck me, I was like, oh, it's not just a thing. So when God was like, June, it's comedy, this is what I'm calling you, my brain went automatically to Zanies. That was my experience for comedy. And so I was like, oh, like a stand-up comedian, like and then I got there, which I do. I mean, I do that. I've done clubs and whatever. But what was cool was finding out there's so many different avenues that you can go as a Christian comedian. And some people are in clubs, some people are in churches, some people are doing fundraisers. There are ventriloquists, there's magicians, there's what is it that Cyrus Steele does? The voices?
The Impressionists.
I started saying impersonations. No, that's a different thing. An impressionist, right? He does voices.
It's so good. Oh.
Yeah, he does voices. Rhonda Corey does those. Like, you see different people doing things in different ways. And I was like, wow, this is cool. So it's not just one lane and you have to do it exactly like this. As we were just talking about you, Michele, you do stand-up comedy, but then this event you were at this weekend, it was more intimate. It was more of a speaking engagement, but every skill that you have doing stand-up comedy makes you an even better speaker when you go on stage and you do those. And the best speakers have comedy in their talk, especially if they're going somewhere that's heavy, or to really press something on someone's heart. Laughter makes it digestible when you have to get into some real talk sometimes. So I really hope that our listeners, if you are interested at all, and it would be amazing, Michele, if someone came up to us and they were like, we're here because we heard about it at the Laugh Support podcast. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yes. And so if that is you, if you're a listener and you're like, I'm going to go because I heard it, you have to come up and tell us. We've got to do some pictures and all the fun things. We got to do it.
We may even end up having them on an episode of Laugh Support to recap their experience at this conference. That would be only if they're like really nice and they have a great time. If they're grumpy and they don't, then never mind.
And I think they're supposed to bring you peanut M&Ms. I think that's the one of the things.
Anything chocolate. Last night at church, there were 2 things of coffee out, and they usually only have the 1 mug of coffee, and then they have hot water to make tea.
Mhm.
And there was a second coffee pot, and it said chocolate coffee.
Mhm.
Chocolate coffee. And we were
Yeah.
all like, and somebody goes, "What is chocolate coffee?" And I was like, I don't know, but anything chocolate, I'm trying it. Like I have to, if it said chocolate poison, I would have been like, like, I'll try the chocolate poison one time. We'll see what happens.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this weekend at the hotel, there was a family there, and I was waiting to get coffee, and they had creamers, the chocolate coffee creamers. And the guy goes, "Oh yeah, these are so good." I'm like, "Oh, so you just put one?" He's like, "I put 3." I'm like, "Oh, all right." So I did that, and then I went and sat back down at my table by Ross, and I was like, "Well, that's interesting." I'm like, "This is exactly like what I've been doing for years." I would take my coffee, and
Yeah.
then I would put hot chocolate mix in it,
Mm.
the Swiss Miss hot chocolate mix, and just that's exactly what that was.
Chocolate coffee.
Yeah, chocolate coffee.
I
So
put my protein shake. I put
yeah,
that's what I put in my coffee in the morning. And so I end up
yeah.
just drinking like the whole protein shake. And like I probably have at least 3 cups, sometimes 4 cups of coffee in the morning. And that's not okay. That's not okay. Okay, so I love
Not okay.
I love random like facts and stuff. And I ordered a book that I've got coming in, but this was like sometimes I find like crazy stuff, or you find out like crazy stuff. You're like, no way, that's real. The Tupperware guy, did you hear about this? Have you watched or seen this? The Tupperware guy that passed away, like the guy who created Tupperware died. Did you see that?
No,
Please
he
tell me.
no. So he died when?
He died. He died, Michelle. He wanted to be buried in Tupperware,
That makes
like
sense
a casket the size of Tupperware. And they couldn't do it because they
because
couldn't find a lid that fits.
they couldn't find a matching lid. Da-da-da. So that was
Okay, that's
Michelle's
a
joke of the
dumb
week.
joke. I was trying to beat you to a dumb joke, but when I tell you I was cooking and I was off on planet Junebug, and my niece starts telling me that, and I was like listening, and I was like, "What? No way!" And then when she says that, I was like, "That's nuts!" And then I realized, I was like, "You Michelle'd me. You Michelle. You brought it in." Okay, so let me do the tip of the day. Then you can bring us home with a dad joke, Ross joke, better than the Tupperware joke, and
I thought that was great. I thought that was a really great joke. So good job.
thanks, Michelle. We'll close this episode out. Next week, friends, it's going to be our season finale episode. So as we get into the summertime, well, like generally we can make it until almost June and finish out, but we apologize for being out for the last couple weeks, really,
Yeah.
because in between me being in the hospital, Michelle's arm injury, dad at the doctor's, like it's been a little
And I
bit
went to
wacky.
Chicago. Yeah.
And Michelle going to Chicago. So we will say this: we love doing this podcast. We love our listeners, especially folks that are listening every week and just encourage us. But our family and our health will always come first. And unfortunately, it's just been a thing for the last few weeks.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But
been
summertime, we do know lots of travel, vacations, and that is our time to be with our family. So we're going to do a season finale episode next week, and then kind of ride off in the sunset. So this week what is the tip of the week, Michelle? Do one thing. Just do one thing. Okay. So this week have been trying to do just one thing every day that makes me feel better, makes me feel like I've accomplished something, not a big thing, just a thing. Because I think that life, it gets so overwhelming. I wake up and I think of like 10,000 things that I need to do for the day, but I'll try to do one thing that I know is like good for my health, good for my heart, good for my mind.
yeah.
So every day I encourage you, whether it's maybe you can't always go for a walk, but maybe it's just scooting your chair back and stretching, like setting a timer 5 minutes. You can take 5 minutes for yourself and just scoot the chair back and just stretch or just deep breathe for 5 or 10 minutes, right? For me, it's getting up every morning and listening to a devotion or listening to a pastor and doing a devotion. Just that one thing, or that one thing that where if you're like, I'm trying to lose weight. Okay, so maybe, you're not going to go bread free, but maybe today's the day that you go, get tacos and you say, you know what, I'm not going to eat the chips today. Do something to just give yourself a little pat on the back that you can feel good about. It doesn't have to be everything, but it can be that one thing. So that's my encouragement for you this week. And the tip of the week, just find one thing and do it. Just do it. All right, Michele.
So what I heard was,
Uh-huh.
let's go get some tacos because that's what we're having for dinner now. Tacos. Yeah, that sounds really now I like that. I like the consistency of it, and doing one thing like getting tacos sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm going to do that. I'm
Okay,
totally
you're
going to
being
do.
funny, but honestly, like, let's say that, when my kids were in high school and kind of getting to the point where they were about to be out, my husband was like, we need to start doing Taco Tuesday. Just
Yes.
making the decision that on Tuesdays we're going to go eat tacos as a family.
Yes.
And I loved that, and that was a decision. That was what's one thing we can do every week that brings our family together at a table together. And sometimes one could come or the other, but either way, we picked one thing that was doable, that was good for our family, good for our heart, figuratively, maybe not literally, because I ate a lot of queso and a lot of tacos, but
Oh, it's totally fine. It's totally
you
fine.
can pick a thing. You can do a thing.
You need to have the protein, right? The dairy, the protein. So cheese is very important to life. So I think that was still very good for your heart. If you, received with Thanksgiving and you're with your family, absolutely. It's totally fine. Totally fine. I think you and I should do Taco Tuesday, and we should meet on Facebook and do lives while eating tacos.
Yeah.
I think that would be so much fun. I think our listeners and our viewers would probably join in. I think everyone should have tacos online. We should do that.
Taco Tuesday live. That would be
Yeah.
awesome, Michele. As
It
long
would
as
be
we're
better
not
than.
doing wings, I look like I look full on primal, like someone's gonna steal. I can't eat wings delicately. I don't know how anyone eats wings and not just looks like animalistic, like it's a gross thing that I can't watch people eat wings. But I could do tacos or
Yeah.
a taco bowl or something. Anyway, tell us a joke. Let's wrap this thing up. Our listeners are like, okay, enough already. Now they left 5 minutes ago because they just want tacos. They're like,
Right. I know
oh.
everybody. The queso of life. I was thinking. I don't know if you know, it's because it's like springtime, right? And with it being springtime, I don't know if you've noticed this, but trees are like very unreliable. Did you know that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they
because they're
always leave
really shady.
because they're shady. That's Thanks, Michele. My pastor did a joke about pancakes on Sunday because we had a pancake breakfast and he invited everyone to come and he said they always, something he said some cheesy joke and everybody was like, no. And then he was like, sorry, my pancake jokes always fall flat. I know. I think he does it just so people will butter him up, really, is what I think.
Yeah, I knew you were going there. I knew you were going there next.
It's too much. Okay, listen, for the Laugh Support podcast, please follow us. Please forgive us for the last 15 minutes of this podcast. Find us at the Laugh Support Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Support the Laugh Support Podcast. Also, you can email us at thelaughsup@gmail.com. thelaughsup@gmail.com. And also, again, Michele's Comedy. Find her there. You can find me pretty much anywhere at Junebug Comedy, junebugcomedy.com, and Junebug Comedy on all the platforms. Well, friends, that's going to be it for this episode of the Laugh Support Podcast. As I always say, Jesus and Junebug loves you. And Michele, tell them goodbye.
I'm going to say goodbye. And did you guys know that horses are always so sleepy? Because they're always hitting the hay. All right. Thanks for listening. Tune in next time. Bye-bye.